All right, we are live,
Ah,
y'all. We should be live. Uh, Let me just check on the different places, make sure everything is running, so that we won't be talking in vain.
right.
But yep, we're live. Everything's good, and I'm going to tell people they can call in. So for the people tuning in, bless up everyone. Grand Rising, good morning, however you give it up. Um, we are here live and direct again with Know the Ledge Media Empire, Know the Ledger,
Yes.
Sankofa Revolutionary Radio, Media Empire. We have given people the privilege to be able to see this on different platforms, but we will be phasing out of those platforms in the middle of the show because we want to get people comfortable with watching this where we have site control. So places like Facebook and YouTube tend to be problematic because of their censorship and not allowing people to have honest conversations about real issues and maybe having a conversation that would be against the prevailing orthodoxy of the day, which is not getting us the results that we would like to see in different avenues of life.
Facts.
So we have decided to engage in Kuji Chagalia, where uh, Brother Red Pill has site control. Myself, Haru, I have site control on Herbal Results. I believe also Red Pill would be making the stream available on his website, Know the Ledge University. And also, people can tune into Sankofa Revolutionary Radio, WSYP 95.1 FM, and listen to this show as well as we've been doing every week for the last few years. Brother Anthony, we've been doing this for a minute, right?
Yeah, at least 3 years, maybe
At
four.
least three. Every Monday morning, huh?
Right. Yeah. And we appreciate
Yeah.
your service from you. Appreciate your Kazi, my brother.
Yeah, and appreciate
Unlike
yours
any
as
other
well.
program, man, I can't think of a, you know, where you give us the scientific evidence, the protocol and testimonies. I can't think of another program who does that. So big ups to you, my brother.
Yes, I'm happy to provide this information. I'm happy to link up with Brother Red Pill too.
Yes, sir.
Red Pill has a history, in health. He has quite a health pedigree with his mother and the company that his mother has kept and who he grew up with. Red Pill, you want to shine a little light on your health pedigree in terms of your family and how you grew up in a world of healers?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. First and foremost, I want to say peace, love, and light to the family, Grand Rising. I am honored to be a part of the program. I am honored to connect, know the ledger, our network, our node to what it is that you guys have been building over the years. It feels like a great, merger and whatnot. Early in life, I bore witness to the fact that the body can heal itself. Early in life, I bore witness to the fact that everything that was being told to us by these men in white coats was a level of high sorcery, more like a witchcraft. I won't even call it propaganda because it exceeded that. These, these doctors uh are literally a part of they weaponize information, and they are a part of the machine that is effectively attacking man, women, and child. So early in the 80s, I would say 1985, I had the I was privy to be in St. Croix, and I got the opportunity to meet Dr. Sabi, aka Alfredo Bowman, in the beginning of his quote unquote run, or the beginning of his ascent. And I was in the jungles of St. Croix, mind you. This wasn't like St. Croix is not like a city. It's a paradise. It's an island. And we were interfacing and interacting with this man who they called the voodoo man. They said he was a witch doctor. They were very intimidated by his freedom, because Dr. Sebi was very bold and he was not afraid to speak it like it is. And one of the things that I realized, especially when it comes to big pharma and whatnot, is people were very tempered and what it is that they would say. They would quiet themselves around the Europeans and whatnot. They were not pushing back against the narrative. And he was fringe from the beginning. So it gave me the opportunity to look at the world through fringe glasses, through red, through a rose colored glasses. And he allowed me to be on the edge because we were a little rebellious. So Sebi was kind of like, I will always be like, but what about what Sebi said? You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't rock with the people. He doesn't, he's not with the system. He's about seeing things differently. And he says that, there's no definites. So when people say that they're going to die on this date or they're not going to, he was like, no, none of that is real. And the authority that he said it in, and the fact that every day at Usha, we would see people come in there limping and hurt and just sickly and walk out of there with their heads up, smiling and laughing and feeling better. So Dr. Sebi showed me that it's not just the medicine in the bottle. It's basically the medicine of the love that you could bring to the people by being authentic. And, Sebi was an open book. He would shock you with the things that he would say in front of you. But it was a part of the fact that you need to be shocked sometimes to know that you're alive. You need to be shocked sometimes to wake up. You need to be shocked sometimes by the actual person who can stand in front of you that can heal you, but he could also show you that he could reveal himself. He's like, I'm not perfect. I'm a POS. Get used to it. But I got the answers and, it's right here in my hand. Take it or leave it. So it was one of those things where he wasn't trying to be a savior in a way. He was shocking people into health. The love that you could bring. He was shocking people into health. The medicine that comes in a bottle, the Maya, the electrified supplements that they were creating and whatnot, the elixirs that I saw them, the formulas that they were making, yeah, those were all magical. The salve. The salve, my brother KT chopped his thumb off damn near. And I saw the salve completely put his finger back together.
Wow.
Miracle work.
Wow.
People coming in with HIV, people coming in with cancer. I mean, you name it. My mother, Mama Pill, Ma'a, Wiwa, Usha, Sasa. These are all of his children. They were all instrumental in healing and in curing and completely destroying the narrative that our people are sickly and you must remain like that.
Right. That's good stuff.
Yeah. So this is very important. That coming on doing a show like this, man, it brings you back to your roots in the sense that you're not anybody new who has seen healing happen outside of the so-called mainstream system, using a whole different approach that tends to be an approach that has very little side effects and is very inexpensive approach to dealing with health. And that's what we've done at Herbal Results, is that what we've endeavored to do is look for what we call the most parsimonious way to solve issues, right? And these when we talk about the law of parsimony, which is also called Occam's razor, what it is it's a way of looking at solving problems where you choose the least amount of steps possible to solve those problems. It's called the most elegant solution to a problem. And what Occam's razor tells you is that within any phenomena, you must choose the solution with the least amount of assumptions or the least amount of steps. So what we've done at Herbal Results is we really did an investigation is what is the true cause of most of these problems, of most of these illnesses, and try to distill it down to one or two limiting factors. And what we do is that we present ourselves with the information that mankind has had for thousands of years in terms of these illnesses, and we start distilling it to two major issues, which is toxic inputs and not enough nutritive inputs. And that when you remove the toxic inputs from a human's life, and when you introduce nutritive inputs, the body will be able to fight for itself. And we see this with farming in terms of growing vegetables, fruit trees, any other forms of life that would be considered organic forms of life. When you remove the toxic inputs and when you add the nutritive inputs, the body does wonders. And so we try to keep it very simple at Herbal Results. And we've been able to get the results that we're getting with this type of approach. For some people, it may be difficult because they've been eating a certain way for all of their lives. So it's very hard to teach people new habits. However, those people who do want to change, and the desire for change outrules the desire for taste buds, right? Because what I've always said, Red Pill and Brother Anthony, is that you have all these different organs in your body. And what's very interesting is that most people have a dictatorship of the taste buds, right? So you have your heart, you have your lungs, you have your spleen, you have your appendix, you have your liver, you have your kidneys, you have your brain, you have your stomach, you have your gonads, you have all these different organs in your body. Your tongue is one organ, but most people live by the dictatorship of the tongue and do not live by a democratic process, including all the body parts.
That's right.
So when people are eating, they're not allowing all their body parts to have an equal vote, right? Because let's just say if you asked your arteries if it would like you to eat sugar, your arteries would say no, because the sugar is going to cause inflammation of those arteries, which then causes fibrin buildup, which then causes blockage. And you end up getting what is the majority of strokes that people get. There's two main strokes. It's a hemorrhagic stroke or an ischemic stroke. Ischemic is due to blockage. Hemorrhagic is due to the bursting of a vessel. Those are the two types of strokes that you get. Most strokes that people get is an ischemic stroke. And that is just due to blockage. And this blockage is due to inflammation. And as I've said, inflammation is coming from three different sources: injury, infection, or diet, food intake, or pharmaceutical intake, right? And so if you can identify these things and you can identify the main causes of inflammation, and then you can correct for that. But if no one ever tells you this, then there's going to be a problem. So if you have these issues, mainly it is an issue of the diet, toxic inputs, right? Some cases people get infections, but the overwhelming causes of most of the inflammation in people's body is through their diet. And the main culprit for inflammation is sugar. It's glucose. So when we understand that, we can literally control for it as if it was a mathematical or computer model. We know what inputs are causing the problems, and we then delete those inputs to then see how the body functions. And we start seeing that the body starts functioning a lot better. But when we look at it critically, we certainly are able to see that people are not quite understanding that out of all your body parts, your tongue has been overruling all the body parts because you like the way something tastes, right? So if something tastes a certain way, you've allowed your tongue to rule over your heart, your lungs, your spleen, your appendix, your liver, your kidneys, your, different glands of your body have not gotten a full voice as to whether they want you to eat that sugar or to consume food that's full of canola oil, right? So what I'm saying to people is allow your organs to have a democratic voice for your body. And what you'll find is that your organs definitely are happier and are in more support. And definitely want you to vote against sugar. It's only your tongue that likes sugar. Everything else in your body hates it. Your teeth hate sugar. Your arteries hate sugar. Your prostate hates sugar. Your ovaries hate sugar. We can just start naming, and then what you do is that you look at the body parts and you just get a Latin name for the body parts, and then just put itis at the end of it, and you start having your diseases. I think what I'll do is I'll share with everyone, and this is a light conversation because we're still on YouTube, and we know that YouTube likes to ban people and give people strikes for information that may be against the pharmaceutical industries. So we're going to keep the conversation light for this, section of the show. Then we're going to migrate away from YouTube and give people enough notice to go to other places to watch the show. And we're going to dive a little bit deeper. But I do want to show people the list of inflammatory diseases and how this works. To get this information will certainly help you in being able to understand disease a lot better. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to share this with you all right now. And I'm just going to show you how this breaks down. So itis is just a Latin word, is a Latin suffix that means inflammation, fire, or flame. And so what the medical system does, which we would call medical nomenclature, is they take the Latin root of a word, and they take the Latin word for a body part, and then they add the word itis at the end of it. Okay? And that's just how it works. And so whatever sickness you have, they'll give you the Latin name for it, the body part, where the sickness is attached, and just add itis at the end of it. And itis just means inflammation of that specific body part. But what happens is that many people end up becoming mystified and impressed by medical professionals saying words that you may have never heard because they're speaking Latin. And so what you need to understand is that it'd be very instructive for people to read the biography, the autobiography, and the diaries of Julius Caesar. Why is that important? Because Julius Caesar was the conquering force in the empire that created the intelligentsia, the modern intelligentsia of Western Europe. Before the Romans invaded Western Europe, it was basically a loose nations of European tribes. And these European tribes were very uneducated and did not have a grasp on high levels of science or engineering or technology or anything like that. And so that's why the Roman Empire was able to invade that part of the world successfully. They had better technology for warfare. They understood science. They understood mathematics on a higher level than the Western European tribes. And that's largely due to their inheritance from ancient Greece, in which ancient Greece, all of their learned people went to ancient Africa and Egypt and the Nubia territories to get more education, right? So Pythagoras with the hypotenuse of a triangle, but he got there when all the pyramids were already built. I think Pythagoras entered ancient Africa, which we call Kemet, after the 12th dynasty. But by the 12th dynasty, all of the major pyramids were built, which means that the formula for the sides of a triangle, and particularly the hypotenuse of a triangle, which is the sloping side, is not the Pythagorean theorem. It could not be the Pythagorean theorem because Pythagoras got to Africa when the pyramids were already built, and you couldn't build a pyramid unless you already knew the hypotenuse of a triangle. So, we have these misattributions to different Europeans, and it happens all the time, and we know the story behind that. If you don't know, there's many lectures about stolen legacies and what have you. But even when you look at the word algebra, Geb and Ra, which is the last two parts of algebra. Geb is the ancient Kemetic deity of the earth. Ra represents the sun or sunlight. And so, you have even the words in chemistry, chemet, where people can start seeing associations between ancient African words and modern words of science. So when your children tell you that they're not good at science or mathematics, that's more of a social construct. In their DNA has a lingering genius for science and mathematics. And so this is why I do what I do when I go over scientific studies, because I want people to be very conversant and very comfortable with scientific studies. It's not something for us to shy away from. It's just a way to learn how to read it. And once you learn how to read the scientific studies, you can start, having conclusions for yourself. So that's why I always get into scientific studies, and I get into the drug side effects and all of that. And this is something that all of us should be comfortable with. And I think people who've tuned into the show for years have seen my approach, and people have adopted it, and it's become helpful because people are now able to look up, go to drugs.com and then go to side effects and put in the name of your particular drug, and you're able to see long-term, short-term side effects of the medications that you're taking. And, I'd say 99% of people taking medications have no idea of the side effects. And even when they give you the list of the side effects at the pharmacy, they don't list the full side effects. So let me share this with you all, the list of inflammatory diseases, so that the audience will be able to see this. And in a few minutes, we'll make a transition over to our other properties where we have site control, where we can get into this a little bit more seriously. And for people to know, week after week, we will be making transitions when we start having the more serious parts of our conversation. We're not here to be thwarted. We certainly aren't here to be censored by people who mean us no good. So what I want to do is share on the screen a list of inflammatory disorders. What you'll notice is it's all in Latin. So, okay, nervous system, central nervous system. Brother Anthony, Brother Red Pill, can you tell me if the audience is able to see this?
Yes.
Okay,
We can.
I'll make it a little bit bigger for the screen. I think this is good.
That's even better.
Great.
Yeah, that's great.
All right, nervous system, central nervous system, CNS, encephalitis, myelitis, meningitis. Menis just meaning the brain, right? Peripheral nervous system. Inflammation of the peripheral nervous system is neuritis. But let me just start at the top for those who just tune in. We're going over the list of inflammatory disorders, and we're going to notice something about them. This is that you get the Latin name of the body part, and then you get the word itis at the end of it. So we see how many diseases deal with the word itis, and you see that a great number, or even a majority of diseases, are itis-based diseases, which lets you know through first principles thinking that all these diseases are inflammatory diseases. So if it's inflammatory, if it's inflammation, with the root word being flame, what is causing the fire? What is causing the burning? And we're going to find out that there are three sources of inflammation: injury, infection, or food. And so encephalitis, myelitis, meningitis, arachnoiditis, PNS, peripheral nervous system, neuritis, the eye, dacryodinitis, scleritis, and then you just keep going on, retinitis, conjunctivitis, right? And then the ear, otitis externa, otitis media, labyrinthitis, mastoiditis, right? It's just different parts of the ear and where it may be inflamed. And then they just add the word itis. The heart, cardiovascular system, cardio, card for heart in Latin. So you have carditis, endocarditis, myocarditis, pericarditis, vasculitis, arteritis, inflammation of the arteries, phlebitis, capillaritis, inflammation of the capillaries. And so you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, respiratory system, we've heard these things. Upper respiratory system, sinusitis, you have rhinitis, pharyngitis, laryngitis, lower tracheitis, tracheitis, bronchitis, and it just keeps going on and on. Pleuritis, right? That's the inflammation of your pleural area of your lungs. So then we have, the digestive system, stomatitis, gingivitis. We've heard of gingivitis. That's just inflammation of the gums, and it just keeps going down, right? Tonsillitis, right? And it keeps going on and on. And you just have all these different body parts that are being, associated with inflammation. Esophagitis, gastritis, and it just goes on. Enteritis, colitis. Some people listening have been diagnosed with some of these itises, but no one's ever told you the root cause of your itis. And you just keep going down and down. So every single body part, they're just putting an itis at the end of it, as you're able to see. Accessory digestive organs, hepatitis, pancreatitis. It just goes on and on, right? You have dermatitis, folliculitis, cellulitis, and it just keeps going on. Musculoskeletal system, arthritis. We've heard of arthritis. That's just inflammation of the joints. And so now that you know that, the question is, what is causing that inflammation? And we start going over diet. We start going over whether you may have an infection or you've had an injury. We ask those three fundamental questions, and you just keep going on and on. And I'm not going to, belabor the point, but you start, tendinitis. You start seeing all these different urinary system, nephritis, right? Inflammation of the kidneys. Everything that has a body part just has an itis at the end of it. If it's the female reproductive system, you start seeing all these different endometritis, right? People have endometriosis, endometritis, and you have perimetritis, you have cervicitis, is just inflammation of the cervix, vaginitis, inflammation of the vagina, and then it just goes on and on. You have the male reproductive system, where that can also be inflamed as well. And you just scroll down, right? Prostatitis, which a lot of men come to me with, and we have to deal with that, but it's usually just diet. And sometimes there may be some medications people are taking and not clear that that's what's causing the problem. Endocrine system. You start seeing all this lymphatic system, and it just goes on and on, okay? So the point that I wanted to make in sharing this is that, to understand the origin of words allows you to get a deeper understanding of where things are coming from. And actually, the person who hit me on to that when I was 18 years old was Malcolm X. When he was imprisoned, he studied not only the dictionary, but he studied etymology, or what is also known as philology. So it wasn't enough for him to just know the meaning of complex words. He wanted to know the source of the words, like what is their history? Where did the words come from? And when you start to understand philology and etymology, it gives you a great understanding of history and the deeper meaning of things, right? So when doctors speak to you in words that you just don't know, they're just using Latin words because the Roman Empire conquered Western Europe. We're speaking English. So England was conquered by Julius Caesar. And very interesting in Julius Caesar's diaries is that when he conquered Western Europe, his statement was that particularly the British Isles, where you had the Celts, the Anglo-Saxons, and the Britons, and also the Welsh. Then you had the Scottish, the Irish, the Gaelic people. And his statement about those people even had certain amount of people there that they called the Gauls as well. And so, and the Gothics and what have you. And so what he said was that the people of the British Isles were so ignorant and so uneducated in all aspects of life and so illiterate that they were unfit to even be slaves. That's the words of Julius Caesar, right? Because Rome had a certain level of technology and a certain level of understanding that they inherited from Greece, which Greece inherited from ancient Egypt and Africa. And the Nile Valley civilizations were the greatest techno-complex civilizations where the world learned from. And it passed on to the Roman Empire. And then the Roman Empire now ends up conquering Western Europe. And as a matter of fact, Western European languages are known as Romance languages, right? That is Spanish, that is Portuguese, French, those are known as Romance languages or Roman languages. So whenever you're conquered, you are then taught the language and the education that's coming from the conqueror, right? And so what happens is you start taking their names, you start taking their religion, you start taking their words to describe phenomena. And most certainly, if you're going to be of the upper class, which is the conquering class, you would have to learn their language, and learning their language qualifies you now as being civilized, right? The closer you get to the conqueror's language as the conqueror, the more educated you are seen to be, right? So therefore, if Western Europe would have been conquered by the Arabs, speaking Arabic would have been the aristocratic language, and being able to read the Quran would have been a sign of, especially reading it in Arabic would be a sign of high level of education and sophistication, because the closer you are to your conqueror, the more privileges that you get in the conquered environment in which you are dwelling. This is very important. So that's why when people were educated, particularly monarchs were educated who were conquered by Rome, you had to learn how to read the Bible in Latin, right? Because that's where you got your religious training, in the words of your conqueror. And you had to learn science in Latin. So all of the educated people in Western Europe were people who could speak Latin, where the so-called unwashed masses were illiterate because they couldn't speak Latin, right? So all the educated people read books in Latin, and the non-educated people just spoke their local languages, right? So this is how it happens. And so that tradition has carried on from that time, which you would call probably the Roman conquest is happening of Europe, is happening, like really starting from probably 200 AD, even before that. But on a serious level, it would develop probably anytime, like when you're talking about, at least for England, you had the Battle of Hastings in 1066. And that's when the Normans from France, who were conquered by the Romans, and actually the kings of France and Germany at the time were seen as the Holy Roman Emperors. And England was actually conquered by the royalty of Normandy. So the beginning of the British Empire writ large is actually French and Viking, because the Norman Empire was the Norsemen, the Northmen, and they contributed greatly to a lot of the language around English, which is a bastardization of German and French to some degrees. But anyway, that's just the history. But I just wanted you all to know that when you start studying words, it reveals a lot to you, and you stop being intimidated by doctors. So what I want to do is I want to see if we can, because I'm going to give you all a story time. And this story time is going to deal with a customer of mine who came to me with a type of cancer. And I'm going to show you all something. And what we want to do is that I know that you all are on YouTube. Brother Phil, for your listeners on YouTube, do you have a place you would like them to transition to? Red Pill? I don't know if Red Pill, your mic isn't on. I don't know if you want to, chime in.
It was. Yeah, my mic. I'm gonna drop a Zoom link. Yes, indeed.
Okay.
I'm gonna have them come over to Zoom.
Okay.
I'm gonna drop that link.
Let's we'll give them a moment to transition over to the Zoom link. Those on Sankofa Revolutionary Radio, you can stay there. We control that. So there's no hope for anyone. I wouldn't even use the word hope, but there's no chance to be censored, right? There's no opportunity for anyone within the hopes of YouTube. They won't be able to censor us there.
Right.
And those tuned in on Facebook, I'm going to give you all the link. Those of you on my Facebook right now, or even my Twitter, my X account, we're going to transition over to my website, and I'm going to post that. I have a live stream ability on my website now. We've been getting a lot of traffic on our website, so I'm upgrading the site. It may be moving a little slow for y'all, but I'm working on upgrading it. It should be done in the next couple of hours, where the site's moving a lot faster. But we've been getting a lot of traffic with some of the podcasts I've been doing lately on different places, and so a lot of people are getting tuned into the information. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that everyone can get to Brother Phil's Zoom that he's going to be posting. We're going to be doing this quite frequently, because what's happened is that the last health show we did last Monday, Brother Phil, if you want to talk about what happened on your channel, at least on my YouTube channel, they took it down and they banned me from posting for the next 90 days because they didn't like the information that I was giving. And they did the same thing to Phil, but he's still able to stream. You want to just comment on that, Brother Phil?
Oh, yes. Well, first and foremost, Know the Ledge Media, which was formerly Know the Ledge TV. I've had this propriety since 2008 on YouTube. It was taken in 2022, right? It was snatched. It was my channel was I was deplatformed, right? You know, and I fought for the channel. They were sending me these nasty emails and whatnot. And to be honest with you, it was 3 strikes with all medical misinformation. And all 3 videos was Blue Pill speaking about health benefits, because he's talking about the gold water. You know what I mean? This was back in 2022. And it really wasn't anything. When I listened to the videos, it was like a regular conversation that we have every day, just giving the facts. Magically, through the graces of good paperwork, patience, right, and a little bit of legal pressure, we got our channel back, right? And they basically in 2025, they just was like, you know what, guys, we're going to return your channel with 15 years worth of content on it, and we're going to let you guys rock. Fast forward to the other day, I get an email and it's like, yo, there's another warning. It kind of triggered me because I remember this process when they took it the last time.
Right.
And it was for medical misinformation. It had the video that we just did. You know what I mean? The video was still warm. It was still on the stove. It didn't even get a chance to get fully consumed, and they snatched it. And they sent me this nasty warning about what they were going to do to me, all of this stupid stuff. And I'm like, man, not this again. So what we decided to do, ladies and gentlemen, is we say, you know what? Fool me once, right? Fool me twice. It's all good. We know how to take a signal and do something with it. So the first phase of what we'll be doing is we'll be going into a private network, a more encrypted network that doesn't have the same sensors of this algorithm. We'll be going on Zoom, and then we'll be transferring from Zoom strictly into our servers, which is our sites. That is coming in phase 2 and whatnot. But right now, we're just going to get y'all comfortable. We're coming over to Zoom. We want to talk freely. We want to talk openly. We want to drop more information, more gems. So when you see YouTube, just see this as public square. When you see YouTube, think about us being on the train, having a conversation about things that are important. We're not going to talk about it on. We'll cover it on. We're on a train in front of everybody. Yeah, we'll cover it, but we're not going to have the full conversation on the train. That is when we get behind closed doors in the comfort of our home, which should be our website, our server, and have these well-needed talks. Because in America, curing diseases, going back to the earlier conversation with Sabian, what my eyes were opened up to, curing diseases and helping people is illegal. in America.
Yeah,
They
that's
will not
real.
give up for that.
That's real
That was
talk.
an eye opener for me.
Yeah, that's real talk. And so, Brother Red Pill, have you had a chance to post your link to your YouTube family for your Zoom?
Yes, I have.
Okay,
Yes,
so
I'm gonna do it again as well.
yeah, we want to make sure that they are able to transfer to get this information, because we're going to start dropping serious information when we get onto our sites. So right now, I put up for my listeners on my Facebook and other places that they can go to my website, herbalresults.net. You just go to the live broadcast tab and you will see us live and direct on the website. I went ahead, once I saw this problem happen, I went ahead and put the technology on the website so that we can do live streams on the website. And then we're going to do the same thing for Red Pill's properties. And then we could do the same thing for Sankofa Revolutionary Radio as well. But however, Sankofa Revolutionary Radio is already one step ahead because it has live stream audio broadcasting that it's had for the last decade. So this is a beautiful thing. And this is what self-determination looks like, y'all. Again, we can't be on YouTube and Facebook talking what we talk, but to be incarcerated by their value system of what they consider to be proper information, particularly information that goes against the companies that are advertising with them. So we understand very clearly that we are not owed anything. We are not owed fairness by YouTube, and we are not owed fairness by any of these other properties that are owned by other people. However, we owe it to ourselves to own our own properties so that we can get this information out to the people. Because if we were depending on YouTube and Facebook to actually keep us up and running, to get this information out, that means that we would be F students of history, right? And we are always here to do our Marcus Garvey homework assignments, which is do for self and have your own, and understand that we have no friends. And those of us who decide to engage in heroic activity must be consistent with the pitfalls that our other heroes had to deal with, and understand that we are no different, and that we're going to have to learn from our past. And if history didn't teach us anything, is to sing the song and to take it seriously. God bless the child who's got his own.
Super facts.
You know? So what I want to do is, you starting to get people on your Zoom, Brother Phil?
Yeah, I got 22 people in here right now.
Okay, perfect. And so what we're going to do, people, I've posted on the Facebook where you can go to see the live show on Herbal Results. And Brother Anthony, his listeners are already tuned in. If you're on Facebook, Facebook doesn't do as much of the censoring, even though they can. I would advise all of the listeners who are on the Facebook to on Sankofa Revolutionaries Facebook to transition over to WSYP951.com so that they'll be able to tune into the show. And then those people listening to me on my Facebook, please make the transfer over to herbalresults.net live broadcast. It may take a moment for the website to load. We're just getting a lot of traffic and we're doing an upgrade right now, but you should be able to. I've gone to the live stream page of the website and I'm able to see us live streaming now, live and direct. So what I'm going to do is I'm transitioning out people from Facebook, and I'm going straight to herbalresults.net. That's the only place where you'll be able to see this. For those who are my listeners, I am signing out of Facebook right now. Please meet us at herbalresults.net. For Brother Phil's listeners, Red Pill's listeners, Know the Ledge, please meet him at his Zoom link that he's put up. And Sankofa listeners, just meet us on the Sankofa website, okay? So we should be able to, I am right now removing the Facebook and I am removing X. Okay. And so we are now on herbalresults.net for my listeners. It's the only place where you can see this right now. So, okay, I think we got it. We got the people on Zoom. Brother Red Pill, I still see that you're broadcasting on YouTube. So what
Yes.
I don't want to start saying things that might get your channel banned.
Oh no, yes. So before we end the YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
I definitely want to encourage the family to switch over to Zoom, because the YouTube is we're going to end the YouTube and we'll only be broadcasting via Zoom. So we got 24 people over there right now. Come on over, and yeah, we're going to end this broadcast so we could take callers and speak more freely and open up the conversation to to have more of a health oriented conversation without the restrictions and without the censorship. The link is in the chat, and all you have to do is click on it. You'll be able to come over to the Zoom, bring you straight in.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I want people to get used to this. Please get used to this.
yes. In 5 minutes, we'll shut this down and we'll fully transfer. So we could continue.
Okay. So I'm just going to give you all a story time, and I won't start it until the next couple minutes, because the story time is going to go over some pharmaceuticals that they probably don't want you to know about. And I think this is going to be very enlightening for people, what I'm about to tell you all, because there is a lack of informed consent. So this is how I'm going to set the table before you guys. For those of you on YouTube still and you want to transfer over, here's the deal. You have a situation where you have all of these different medications. And according to international human rights law, there is a thing called the Geneva Convention, which governs human rights. Now, the Geneva Convention was something that was put together after World War II. And it came out of a body of laws called the Nuremberg Laws, because the Nazis, particularly a guy named Dr. Joseph Mengele, was literally engaged in torturing people through medical warfare. And what was happening was he was basically it was dealing with a lot of children and giving them medication or surgeries, and they had no idea what was happening to them. They had no idea that, the medications were going to do X, Y, and Z. And so what came out of that was, hey, anybody who is a patient or subjected to any type of medical intervention must be given informed consent. And so informed consent is just exactly that, 2 words. So you have to be informed, and then you have to consent. You cannot consent if you are not informed. So what that law essentially said is that the patient has to be educated about this particular drug or medical procedure or this surgery and what could possibly go wrong. The problem is that how many of you, when you get your medications, are actually sat down and told what the side effects of your medication are and could be based on what the listings are? You're not told about it. You're given a list. You don't know how to read it. And there's no emphasis on you empowering yourself to be able to know what the possible problems may be. And so 90% of people who come to me, they're having illnesses that are supplemental effects or side effects of the medications that they're taking. And this is quite unfortunate. It's quite unfortunate because there's a lot of people suffering and never knew that what they are taking, that they were given by their medical professionals, is actually causing the ancillary problems, right? So this is a huge issue. And so what I want to do is I want to be able to share with you all one of the story times of one of the customers who came to me with cancer. So Brother Phil, at this time, let me know if you're able to phase out of YouTube, because I don't want to get deep into this and then they try to take down your channel. Your mic is not on, Red Pill. I don't want to go deep in until I know I can go deep.
Yes. Question. I was just thinking, when I stop the YouTube, I might have to get a link. I might have to go to your website first and then share that with my Zoom, because it's
Okay.
going to cut the feed from the YouTube, and even those of us that are on the Zoom will be.
Okay,
It'll
because you're
go blank.
sharing that feed, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so see if you're able to access my live. Just go to herbalresults.net.
Okay.
Yes, you share that with your Zoom.
Yes, sir. Give me 1 second. Let me jump over there.
Yeah, you should be good because we're streaming pretty good. And I think Brother Anthony Muhammad had to go because he has a 1 hour slot. But let's make sure that the listeners. And I did put the link on my Facebook for people as to where they can go to see the live stream. Everyone should be able to see it.
I got you.
Okay, we're letting people know they can go there.
You know how we come through on Zoom.
Okay, you got me?
Yep.
Okay. All right, good. So people are asking me, they said they got cut off. Yeah, so for the people, just want people to know, if you're listening on Sankofa Revolutionary Radio, that show's just an hour. So Anthony has to go to the next show at 10 o'clock. But on my website, we're live. And you're able to see me on the website, brother?
Yes, real quick. For my YouTube family, I'm gonna shut the YouTube down. So just give it a countdown. We're going to be right here on Zoom, rocking out for the remainder of the show. Give me 2 minutes. Let me end the YouTube stream, and then we will continue. So this is more like a bathroom break, a stretch break. Get your pens and your pads, because we're about to go to school. Okay. Give me 1 second. I drop the link one more again on the Zoom for the YouTube. I'll see y'all later on Melanin Monday. Tap in with us. We're gonna have an early show, maybe around 4 or even maybe before that. So I'll see you there. Other than that, I'll see you on Zoom. All right. Count it down, 30 seconds, and we out of here. Peace.
All right, y'all. So what I want to do to give you all an example of this story time, I think we have someone on stage who wants to get on, and let you get on. Brother Red Pill will be joining us in a second. We've got Greg on. Hold on a second, Greg, and we'll have you. We can chop it up if you got any questions. I know Red Pill will be joining us in a second. But he could still be on the StreamYard if he needs to be. Let me just make sure you all that everything is good. This is our first time doing this transition over, so just bear with us so I can give you all a good story time. Believe me, it'll be worth it. Let me just give Phil a quick call and then we'll get started. All right, y'all, there's a little technical things that we're working on. We're going to continue to show in a second. We're just tapping into the Zoom as we learn to do this a little bit better. All right, cool. So we are going to please join the Zoom meeting. All right, there we go. Open the Zoom meeting. And we are going to, okay. All right, so I'm in the Zoom meeting. All right, and what we're gonna do is, Brother Red Pill, what you do is, okay, no, you have it shared, okay. So what I can do, all right, let's try to do this. And then we'll work out the fine details for next time, y'all, but this is, all right. Okay. All right, we're good to go. We're good to go. And Red Pill, you know, for now, we can just do it we can speak on the phone. All right? Okay. All right, so that's good. All right. So what I'm going to do is, yes, I've got Red Pill on right now, and we'll work this out. This is what I want to share with you all, those people tuned in. So check this out, y'all. So I get a customer who calls me, and he has liver cancer. And I start going over his medications with him. You know, I start talking to him about, you know, diet, and I start talking to him about all the different aspects of what's going on. And so he tells me what's going on. he tells me, you know, he's been diagnosed with liver cancer for this amount of time and that amount of time. And, you know, we go over the protocol with him. And I ask him, you know, are you on any medications? Of course, he says he's on high blood pressure medication. He's on diabetes medications. And then late into the conversation, he tells me that he has a problem with hepatitis. I said, you have hepatitis? He says, yes, I have hepatitis B, and I'm taking a medication called entecavir, okay, or entecavir. So here's what I do. I just go online and I look at entecavir. And I want you all to see this. I'm going to share this with you all right now. Okay. So here's entecavir. I wonder if you all can see it. You all can see it? Okay. Do you see entecavir side effects? Are you able to see that, Phil? Entecavir side effects. Okay. I want you all to see this big and bold. All right. Entecavir side effects. When you go down, you'll see common side effects, right? And it'll tell you acid, sour stomach. But remember, this is a guy who's been diagnosed with liver cancer. He's been on this medication for maybe 5 years. Yes. And so now you go to rare side effects, serious side effects of entecavir. And then you go to healthcare professionals. 4 healthcare professionals will tell you. And you go down. Again, I just want you all to know what this is for. This is for hepatitis B, right? Okay? This is who takes the medication, people with hepatitis B. When you go down for healthcare professionals, it gives you the different, you know, body parts, the different organs, hepatic, hematologic, gastrointestinal. But look what it says. Oncologic, which means cancer. Very common. 10% or more. 10% or more people who take this medication get hepatocellular carcinoma. This is liver cancer. Up to 12% of the people who take this medication end up getting cellular liver cancer. Cellular, hepa just means liver. That's just Latin for liver. They're literally telling you cellular liver cancer. 12%. Okay? This is what we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen. So when I showed him this, he absolutely screamed. He could not believe that he's been treated for cancer, they've been giving chemo, it hasn't been working, radiation, it hasn't been working. And he was never told that the medication that he was taking, entecavir, causes liver cancer in up to 12% of the people who take this medication. Okay? So this is what we're living with. We're living with a medical system that does not give you informed consent. You're taking this medication. You did not know that this medication could actually cause this problem. And I see this over and over and over again. And where insult goes to injury is, or injury goes to insult, however you want to take it. The problem is that hepatitis B as a virus can be dealt with olive leaf extract. Olive leaf extract has a great record of actually eradicating hepatitis B. But he never knew this. And we were able to get him on the olive leaf extract. And he started seeing his cancer numbers go down. He stops taking the hepatitis B medication, which was really the cause of his cancer. And we were able to deal with the hepatitis B with the olive leaf extract. And he just didn't know this. And he didn't know that a $40 or a $65 bottle could have solved his problem. Okay? And it's sad. Tens of thousands of dollars were spent for him to essentially take a medication that caused him liver cancer. Okay? And these are the problems that I deal with. And I'll give you all one of the studies that I had to show him. And so it's not just me talking about hepatitis B and olive leaf extract. Okay. So the active ingredient, medicinal ingredient of olive leaf extract is the compound called Oleuropein, Oleuropein. So anytime you hear Oleuropein, you are hearing about olive leaf extract, okay? And sometimes they can extract Oleuropein from something else, but it's really from the leaves of the olive tree. And then I was able to show him a study on how Oleuropein has an antiviral efficacy against hepatitis B. So look at this study here. Let me share this with you all. You see it right here. Antiviral efficacy against hepatitis B replication of Oleuropein. Okay? And then you can go further online and see more studies on olive leaf extract and hepatitis B. So his problem could have been solved with a $40 or $65 bottle. And he didn't know this, but he was taking a harmful pharmaceutical that causes liver cancer. So the question becomes why your doctors aren't trained in this. They're not trained in this because their training is about enriching the pharmaceutical companies. And this is just what it is. That's why a lot of doctors don't know anything about, they don't know anything about herbs or anything that doesn't enrich the pharmaceutical companies. And this is the bottom line. Okay? And so we were able to literally deal with his problem by getting him the Herbal Results olive leaf extract, discontinue the pharmaceutical medication, and voila, all of a sudden now his condition starts improving. And this is what it is. So this is like story time that every week I'm going to get into different story times with you all. And, you know, if you've got questions, we can start taking some live questions with people calling in. We do have some callers who came in. So we have Greg. Greg, if you want to unmute your mic, do you have any questions?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay, you just tuned in.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully this information has been helpful to you.
It has been so far.
Great. There's Offset has called, but your devices are not connected. If you want to turn on your mic, you can turn on your mic, Offset. You don't have to come in with the camera, but you can come in if you want. And so what you can do, Brother Red Pill, if you have any questions, Red Pill, from your audience, you can go ahead and text them to me, and I can read some of them over the phone. So we can wait for that. And answer it. And what we'll do is that by the time we do the next show, it'll be more integrative. So it'll be easier for the listeners to be able to, ask their questions and give them what they need. But I encounter this every single day. I encounter these types of issues every single day. Okay, I'm looking at the chat right now. And let me try to answer some of the questions in the chat. Yeah, and I'm actually I'm in the Zoom chat. Yeah, I'm in the Zoom chat and I see some of the questions there. Let me see. All right, yeah, good. So let me make sure that you're able to hear me on the StreamYard. Yes, you can hear me on the StreamYard. That's good, that's fine. So yeah, so someone says, there are any contraindications with the olive leaf extract? Not really. What happens typically with the olive leaf extract is that if you have a high amount of pathogens in your body, what can happen is that you can get what is known as a Herxheimer reaction. And this Herxheimer reaction is basically large parasitic die-off or high pathogen die-off. And these pathogens will then release toxins into the blood, which can present as a rash or some type of fever-like symptoms. It lasts for a few days. You can lower the dosage and, you'll be fine. But basically you're cleansing your body. And so you'll get a Herxheimer response in terms of some of, that would be the most serious side effects that I could see. But contraindications with other drugs, haven't really encountered them. But if you're taking drugs to make your blood pressure really, really low, you could have a situation where the olive leaf could take your blood pressure lower. So you would discontinue the pharmaceutical meds and not the olive leaf extract, because the olive leaf extract comes with side effects that doesn't kill your kidneys or your liver or cause any of these other problems. So a lot of people ask the wrong question in the wrong way. What they ask is, hey, with the olive leaf extract, get in the way of the medication that I'm taking? That's what they'll ask, because they've been taught that the medication has primacy. It has priority. And I'd like for people to think about it another way. The question that you should be asking is, will my medication interfere with the olive leaf extract? The reason is the olive leaf extract solves your problems without these side effects. So that is what you should prioritize. And the things that cause terrible side effects, like different organ failure, are the things that you should be taking as a last resort, right? That nothing else is working, so you went ahead and took that. But please understand that there's going to be a payoff. There's going to be temporary solution to some of your symptoms, but then you're going to have other problems get exacerbated. And, these are the side effects panels that I talk about, that everyone should be very comfortable looking at. And what I'm going to do, because we've been on for over an hour and we're still working out some of the technical stuff, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you all exactly how you navigate drugs.com to look for the side effects of any medication that you're taking. So what you do is, I'm going to share this with you all, and then we can attempt to close out for this week. And next week, we'll cover some more. But let's just put in, so you're at drugs.com, let's say. You're on the website. You can actually download the app on your phone. But this is what you're going to do. Drugs.com, and let's just put in a popular high blood pressure drug, lisinopril. Lisinopril, right? So you're going to put in the name of the drug, and then you're going to put in you're going to put in the word side effects, okay? The two words, side effects. Type in side effects, okay? You should do this for every drug that you got, you know, that you find out your parents are taking or you're taking, your kids are taking, so you can have informed consent, because they're not going to give it to you. They're not going to give you the information. So then when you put in the lisinopril side effects, you scroll down and you want to go here. You want the name of the drug, and then where it says side effects, common, severe, long-term. You click that. And when you click that, it'll give you a full listing of the side effects of the drugs, right? It'll give you the black box warning, which is the important warnings, right? And then it breaks it down. This is how it breaks down side effects. It gives you 3 main sections. So there's the serious side effects. These are the side effects that if you encounter, you should immediately contact your doctor, right? So these are the more common side effects. And these are the serious ones, right? So if you get blurred vision, you should contact your doctor. You get confusion, you can contact your doctor. Unusual tiredness or weakness, you should contact your doctor. But 9 out of 10 people get these symptoms and they don't let their doctors know, because they think it's just part of taking the medication, right? Or they don't know that it's the medication causing them to be severely tired. Less common side effects, but these are all under contact your doctor. Okay. Even the rare side effects. Okay. And then they have the other side effects. So this is part 2. These are side effects that they say do not need medical attention. So therefore, just live with it. So therefore, if you've got decreased interest in sexual intercourse, no problem, just live with it. Inability to keep an erection, just live with it. Rash, just live with it. Other side effects, sour stomach, belching, heartburn, indigestion, stomach discomfort, swelling, just live with it. Don't even call the doctor for that, right? Or your healthcare provider. And then they have a third section. Now, the third section is very important. The third section is what they call for healthcare professionals. This is what your doctors should know and your nurses should know. But what they do here is that they separate it based on different organs and body parts. So they'll give you cardiovascular, you know, for your heart, all the side effects. Then they give you your kidneys under renal, and they're telling you 10% of people who take this, your blood creatinine levels will increase, which means your kidneys are failing. Okay, and they just told you 10% of the people who take it will have this. Then you have your nervous system, respiratory system. So you look through all of these, metabolic. And it's very important because you always want to see what your sugar levels are by taking a particular medication, because there's some medications that increase your sugar, which is going to increase your inflammation. Gastrointestinal, hypersensitivity, dermatologic, hematologic, right? That's your blood. Psychiatric. So some people get some psychiatric problems taking these particular drugs. Hepatic, that's your liver. You would have your endocrine system and other. And you just start seeing all types of things come up. And so you should be aware of any of these possible side effects that you would get from these medications, y'all. This is very important. And so, like, I implore that people at least go to drugs.com and learn how to look through the side effects panel and actually start making some decisions about these drugs, and then looking to see if there are herbs that you can take that can actually solve your problem without these side effects. That's what should be first. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be covering that in this series that we do every single morning on Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is very important for people to understand what we have here and what we're doing here. We're empowering you to solve your own problems, right? But we're teaching you the methodology. And I would be remiss if I didn't teach you all this, because this is the way that you are going to solve your problems, is to understand what toxic inputs you're taking and what are the nutritive inputs that you're missing. We're going to cover those nutritive inputs next week. But the first thing, I don't want to, bombard you all with too much. We do have a lot of great testimonials on herbalresults.net. So if you're on the website, one of the more important things that you can do is just go to our testimonials page to see what we've been up to and the results that we've been getting. And I'll just share that with you all who are tuned in. And whether you're on Red Pill Zoom or you're on the website, you will just go to the testimonials page here, and you will be able to expedite your knowledge of why what we do in our approach works by just being able to see all the cancer reversals that we have, whether it be prostate cancer, esophageal cancer, endometrial uterine cancer, breast cancer, prostate again, liver cancer, brain cancer, lung cancer. It goes on and on till the break of dawn. And then you see high blood pressure and diabetes reversals, so forth and so on the website. So it's important for you all just do a little due diligence and spend some time looking at the information that we've been able to gather before you go to our shop page. I don't want you to just buy things. I want you to know why you need those things and how they've worked for other people. So we have our olive leaf extract, our maximum strength, and our super strength. We also have our book, which will guide you through our protocol in reversing cancer, the successful eradication of cancer using intracellular parasite theory. We have our vitamin D for your immune system. We have our magnesium for your immune system. We have starve cancer and parasites to starve cancer and parasites of their energy pathways of glutamine and glucose. We have CBD oil. We have Vitex for women. And we also have moringa and cilantro powder, which we call moringa lantro, in our anti-parasite double pack. But the most important thing for me is not for you to go and buy anything from the website. The most important thing for me is for you to go to the testimonials page and just spend some time and watch the interviews that I've been able to do with people from all over the world, from all walks of life, male and female, with diagnoses and prognosis that's given them 90 days to live from stage 4 cancer. And we've been able to reverse their conditions from 90 days to live to alive and well and no evidence of disease. And we have a few of them up here, different stages of cancer, but the stage 4 ones are probably the most emotional ones because they literally were told that they only have a few months to live. And we've been able to bring people back from hospice in different places. So I want to thank you all for tuning in. We're going to make sure that we make this more seamless for next week so that when we do transition over, you all will be able to have a seamless transition, because what we're doing at the end of the day, y'all, is we are going to make sure that we have a sovereign place for the family to come to answer the questions, to give the information in an unfettered, uncensored way, because a lot of people were asking for last Monday's show that was on Red Pill's stations, and they couldn't get to it because it'd been deleted by YouTube. We can't allow that to happen. Okay, that's completely unacceptable. So during the week, myself and Red Pill will work on a seamless way of transitioning for you all. Today was the first week doing it, so there was a lot of stalling and a lot of technical stuff that we had to deal with. But we do have the live stream going on my website. I'm going to work with Brother Red Pill to have a live stream going on his website, so we'd be able to make that transition in a very seamless way. So it's a very easy transition for the listener. Okay. So right now we don't have Red Pill on the StreamYard, but we will have him on. But he's on the Zoom right now. He can talk to his audience the way he needs to. But I want to salute you all for tuning in. We will be live on Wednesday, and we'll be looking to do the same transition on Wednesday as well. Although Wednesday is not as subject to censorship as Monday is. So Monday we deal with health. Wednesday we deal with wealth. The wealth conversation does not get censored nearly as much as the health conversation. So see you all on Wednesday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be on Know the Ledge Media and Know the Ledger as well. We'll be on my Facebook. We'll be on HeruTrades.com doing live stream as well. And if we start talking about anything sensitive, we will transition over, and just want you all to get used to it. We don't want you all to be addicted to Facebook in YouTube because they're monetizing you. They're monetizing you, and they're also restricting you from information. And we cannot reward YouTube and Facebook with our presence. They don't deserve us. If they're cutting off information that's life-serving for our people, they don't deserve our attention or our presence. And that's the way we're going to move. So we understand that there's going to take some time to transition over, but this is what we have to do to maintain our level of integrity in our message and consistency of not being a contradiction. When we say do for yourself, we really mean do for yourself. And this is what we're attempting to do by showing you all by example that we are not going to subject our information to the whims of a corporate presence that means us no good as a people. Okay, so thank you all for tuning in, and we'll be live 9 a.m. Wednesday discussing health results. We'll discuss what's going on with the war and how people can capitalize off of different information, and we'll look at the charts, and we'll also have probably some guests, some business owners talk about their business and how they were able to have financial independence through their businesses. And so it'll be very instructive and a blueprint for people. And so, you know, come in with your thinking cap and come in with your questions ready. And we should, you know, integrate the platforms pretty well by then so that we can be able to service all of your needs in terms of getting this knowledge and what we call kinetic knowledge. All right. Movable information, actionable information. I'd like to say big up to Brother Red Pill, big up to Brother Anthony Muhammad. Wish you all and your listeners a great week to come, and see you all on Wednesday. Thank you.